Welcome to the next segment in our BrightSign technical training course. This segment is simply an introduction to the BrightAuthor software. We'll not cover technical details. We won't discuss how to do anything. We will simply cover the purpose of BrightAuthor software and the types of things you can expect to do with it. BrightAuthor software is the application we make available free from our website for anybody to download and use to configure and manage BrightSign players. It's compatible with Windows, Windows Vista or Windows 7. It requires the .NET Framework 4.0 or later also to be installed on the machine. If that's not there, BrightAuthor will install it for you. It supports all BrightSign players that we've made for the last several years. That focuses pretty much on the HD X10 series, so that would be the 110, 210, 410, 810, and 1010, including the 210W and 1010W. It also supports our current generations of players, our HD 120, 220, 1020, our XD players, the XD 1230, 1030, 230, and our new AU 320 audio-only player. So all BrightSign players can be managed with this software. You use BrightAuthor software to accomplish the following tasks. Probably one of the most important tasks is to configure BrightSign players for use on a network connection. No matter what network connection you intend to use or how, the player needs to be configured first before it can be used. You use BrightAuthor to build BrightSign projects. You use BrightAuthor to assemble those projects onto a schedule, and then you use BrightAuthor to publish that schedule to individual players or to groups of players. A word about how we do things in BrightAuthor. We have what I call a content hierarchy. Think of it as a pyramid. At the bottom of the pyramid are assets, individual audio and video files, image files, the types of things that you expect the player to use to put to the screen or to put out to the loudspeakers. Individual assets. Those assets come together in a project or a presentation. A presentation would include where on the screen certain assets should be used, for example, the layout of different zones. So a project would be a screen layout and a collection of assets that are designed to run in a particular way. Whether it's interactive or not interactive, we call that a project. And then finally, at the top of the pyramid is the schedule. This is what you actually publish to a BrightSign player. You publish schedules, and a schedule will bring with it the necessary projects and assets. So keep this content hierarchy in mind as we go forward throughout this course, because this will come back and be important later on. Presentations, when it comes to building a presentation, BrightAuthor gives you a layout editor. This layout editor is used to decide where on the screen certain elements should be presented. Here we've got a video element and some other elements that will be around that on the screen. So you can use BrightAuthor to add zones, to manage the types of zones. You can see this video zone. There's a video or image zone. Here we have a clock zone. This is an image only zone. Down below you see a ticker zone. So zones have type, and in BrightAuthor when you create a zone you define its type. You place the zone on the screen where you want it. It's a completely free-form screen. You can place anything anywhere on the screen that you wish. And then within BrightAuthor you attach assets to those zones. We refer to this as the playlist editor. They're both found under the Edit tab, where you edit a layout or edit a playlist. While editing a playlist, a representation of the zones will be found here on the screen, and as you select a zone, a timeline will appear here where individual assets can be put on that timeline. So you can browse for content that you might have on your machine, and once locating that content, place that content on the playlist. When it comes to publishing, now that is the process of moving projects out to your player. And remember, I mentioned earlier when we talked about content hierarchy, you don't actually publish assets or publish presentations, what you publish is a schedule. And so within BrightAuthor, under the Publish tab, you will see a calendar representation, and here you will find projects that you've saved on your machine. You can browse to wherever that project might be, and you can place those projects on the timeline, or I should say on the calendar, when and where you want them to run. You can browse to anywhere on the schedule going well into the future. You could schedule today something to run on Christmas Day this year or on the 4th of July next year. This calendar goes far into the future. You publish to individual players or to groups of players, and you choose how you're going to do that right here. Within BrightAuthor, you'll find, whatever tab you've selected, additional choices will appear underneath, and that's how you choose whether you're going to publish to local storage via the BrightSign network or by some other method. And again, as I mentioned, we'll cover how to do each of these things in future modules. We also give you a Manage tab, which will appear in BrightAuthor right next to the Publish tab. This tab only appears if you're using BrightAuthor in certain ways. For example, if you're not using BrightSign Network subscription, or if you're not using local file publishing, this Manage tab may not appear. But if it does, you'll find additional choices below the Manage tab to let you manage players and groups of players. You can browse the groups of players that you have running. Here I've got my copy of BrightAuthor was connected to my personal BrightSign Network account when I took this screenshot, so you can see the 2 players that I have working in my office. You can verify the status of players. Both of my players are very happy right now, showing green status. And I can reassign players to different groups. So if I wanted this player to join this group down here, there's a method for me to do that. There are other management functions available that we'll cover in future modules, but the Manage tab is for managing players, managing presentations, your library, and so forth that might exist up in your BrightSign Network account. This concludes this simple overview of the BrightAuthor software, and look to future modules to discuss the individual specifics of how to do certain tasks.